Hello and welcome to my playthrough of SnowRunner. It's a game that I've started many times and I've never really committed to, so we'll see how far I get through on this. I'm hoping that by putting it out to the world, that maybe it'll motivate me to actually see it through. It's not an entirely vanilla playthrough, it is modified. I've got many modded trucks just from faffing about. Whether they'll get used or not, I don't know, and that's because of some of the realism settings that I've got going. Namely, I've got the mod Real Life Mod and Bugs Fix for Phase 12 is what it seems to be called, and essentially it's a modification that changes many aspects of the game. It adjusts the fuel consumption by decreasing it slightly, not too much, because you still got to cater the downsized map sizes, and if it was totally accurate you'd just never need to refuel, but it does make it more manageable. It enforces many hardcore aspects. What I'll do is I'll put up on the screen now what my settings are, because it's a new game plus, which means you can tweak the game to your preferences. So yeah, you can take a look at them, pause as needed. It does also have some more in-depth vehicle customization, which you'll see in just a second, including it adjusts what modifications you can use on certain vehicles depending on what that real life vehicle could have. For example, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the Fleetstar in the base game you'd be able to whack all-wheel drive on it, whereas I think with this mod it disables that as an option, because I would assume and hope that the real life counterpart is not able to have all-wheel drive, at least not without some serious modification. Certainly nothing that you could just plug and play, as it were. So that could put us up against some interesting challenges. We'll find out in the not so far future. I've also got some self-imposed rules, namely with the winches. So if there's not a winch visible on the vehicle, I can't use it, right? So with the Chevy here, in its default settings, it has no winch, so I would not use a winch. Only if I've got a bumper with a visible winch on it will I use the winch, and I will only be using the front winch, or one where there's one visible. So I won't be, for example, even if I've got a battery powered winch and I roll the vehicle, I won't just be attaching it to the side and winching myself back over. Which you could argue whether that's realistic or not. You could roleplay it, I guess, that you've got, you know, maybe a I don't know, like a detachable winch or something, I don't know. But I figured it'll add a bit more context as to how I choose my lines while I'm in some more challenging areas and stuff. As you can see at the top right, I have allowed myself 150,000 currency, as the game calls it. I'm just going to call it dollars because we're in Michigan. The reason for that is because I've played the beginning of the game a lot before, and to be frank, I can't really be arsed with the whole slog at the beginning. I'd rather just get myself up and running with a decent scout. I believe it's enough to do some decent upgrades, if not entirely upgrade the Fleetstar, and it'll just get me off to a nice little start, get me doing the beginning missions and stuff. The Fleetstar should be taken down a step anyway, due to the realism mod stuff at play. Some other game settings I've got, which you'll have seen already, is all the trucks and all the modifications and all the trailers are available from the start. Because what I like to do when I'm playing something for realism is not just the harder stuff, also the realism aspects that might make it a bit easier. And I don't like it when parts are locked behind levels, because I can't personally justify it to myself. So everything's available. The only thing holding me back will be money. Obviously not initially. I'll be able to max this thing out to my own preferences, and like I say, hopefully the Fleetstar. So yeah, I think that's everything initially covered. So what we'll do, we'll jump into a quick time lapse, get this scout fully set up, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do. So here's the first example of some of the differences. I don't believe, I could be so wrong here, but I don't believe all these tyres are available. Certainly not stuff like this in the base game. So these these tyres are one of the aspects that the game changes with this mod. And there's some really cool stuff. Some of the stuff that I definitely won't be using, some that I definitely will be using. But yeah, I just thought I'd check in, let you know about that. And now I get the joy of comparing and comparing and comparing until I figure out which ones I want to use. So in my not so infinite wisdom, I just realised I left my mic muted towards the end of that customization. So we're just going to do a nice little trail now. Just unlock the first lookout. Give these tyres a good run in, see how they feel, because I know there's some decent mud along the way. We have to do a little river crossing, I think, or something. So we'll run this trail now, see how the truck does, benchmark it a bit, and see how we go. The only thing I really remember saying that's worthy of note is I am aware for the SnowRunner geeks out there that adding all this repair equipment and everything does somewhat offset the flotation abilities of the mud tyres, so I know they're not going to be as good as they're meant to be. But we'll roll with it for now. The main thing I really want is the fuel for when we get further out there. And annoyingly, there doesn't seem to be a fuel option for the trunk or for the tailgate, so we'll see how that goes. But for now, we'll switch off for a bit and we'll just do some off-roading, see how this trail treats us. So here we are, the first lookout. I must say, even with the graphics turned down, it's still such a pretty game. I'm so impressed with it. Just another thing that's occurred, another one of the modifications to the game that this mod makes, is it removes all of the trigger zone colours. I'm unsure if that's going to be a mistake at this point. I guess we'll soon find out. But it's worked alright so far. They seem to be in intuitive enough places that it's not messed me over. So even though we've now completed the only real objective in terms of actual outcome, i.e. we've picked up this this tower now, we've got a nice big area available to us that we can see. We're still going to continue along this trail here and loop back around to the garage before we're done. So yeah, and we'll get to see that little bit of a, it's not a river but a lake crossing there, see how it does there. See if we've made a huge mistake with these tyres, because I didn't actually go to the Fleetstar, so I've got nothing I can switch to. So if we lose the truck somewhere here, I have to restart the game, which will be super fun. So let's see how she goes. Well, we got through. I wasn't sure if we were going to for a second there, but we did. So yeah, maybe these tyres are keepers. Although I have noticed they seem a bit slippy on the rocks when I've been going over them. Tyres I've used in the past have been better, but the big tractor tyres, and might sound silly, but I just don't like how they look on a truck like this. I feel like a truck like this needs tyres that look a little more like this, even if it sacrifices the ability bit. We'll see. At least in this beginning map, I think we should be good, because it feels a bit weird being on big old tyres like the other ones I'm referring to when you spend a lot of time on the road on this map, to be honest. And I will be doing to save on the fuel, so speaking of which, we'll do a quick fuel check. We've used just over a quarter tank, which isn't too bad. If I'm not mistaken, in the default game with the first engine upgrade, you would have used pretty much a quarter tank just getting to the watchtower, would be almost nearing a half tank used by now. I definitely stand to be corrected. I didn't actually play this game as standard before picking it back up again. I didn't really do a before and after test with the modification, so who knows. But yeah, we'll, like I keep saying, we'll continue the trail and get us back to the depot. So I know I said that we were going to avoid mud for the sake of mud, but as we are testing it, we'll see how she does through this, because I remember this getting pretty. Doing good, and that's without diff lock. We're still open diff. To be honest, the diffs aren't making a huge difference. But I think when it comes to the differentials, locking them only really helps if one tyre is losing traction while the other hasn't. When they're all losing traction, they're all getting equal power anyway, just about, close enough that it doesn't make a massive difference. So that's good. Blasting along. Much closer to half the tank after that, but that's to be expected when you're practically leveling it the whole time. Sweet. Well, I'm happy with that. Did okay. before we park up, let's try and get this thing towed. See if I can remember how to do this. So, we'll use that one because it's the middle one. Attach it to there. Stick it in reverse. Definitely all-wheel drive on. Release the handbrake. Oh, with ease, look at that. A little, but to be fair, can't see that being an easy pull. But we've got it easily within the zone we need it to be in. I think what we'll do is we'll come back next episode, potentially the one after that, and we'll get it all repaired, all fixed up, all modified as we need it. Yeah, but for now it can stay there. We'll get this thing parked up. Beautiful. Well, I think that'll do for the first episode. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you next time. Ciao.